Start at £2.50. Call 0903 686 3232. Calls cost £2.50 plus your network access charge. Or post your name and number to GB18 PO Box 8690 Derby DE1 9TT. UK only. Entrance must be 18 or over. Lines close at 4 p.m. on the 30th of January. Please check the closing time if listening or watching on demand. Good luck.
Bowl.
They are under no illusion.
Ray.
Are you a human trafficker?
Boundless. I've had enough of the nonsense, and I'm not afraid to say it.
Don't get this on the BBC.
Every weeknight, I tear through the headlines.
The smell of gasoline. Should we be worried about it?
From Westminster madness to cultural war chaos.
What I'm going to do now is they are throwing things up the car as we speak.
Get ready, Britain. Here we go. Patrick Christie's tonight, weeknights from 9 p.m, only on GB News, Britain's news channel.
Hi, I'm Michelle Dewberry, and my show is your opportunity to cut through all the noise and dive in headfirst to some robust debates. Ideas clash.
Situation, isn't it?
No,
because the failure is
you're deliberately avoiding my point. Nothing's held back.
And if you think this is the end of it, wait for more.
And we do not shy away from the difficult stuff.
Sometimes I want to shake people and say, if only you understood.
So join me on Dewbs & Co. weeknights at 6 p.m, only on GB News, Britain's news channel.
All too often, people will be sitting at home watching a press conference live, and they'll hear loads of questions being asked, and they'll be thinking, that's not my question, that's not my concern.
We don't care whose feathers we ruffle. We ask the questions that you want answering.
You're all standing on the street protesting and wanted to have an open discussion.
My name's Patrick Christie's. I do a show for GB News in the UK. Is it possible to talk to you quickly?
Journalism in this country has been a cosy world full of groupthink until now.
Well, this is the best view ever of Whitehall, looking out across all the tractor drivers of England who've come together to make their point.
Hello, so as you can see, I'm here in Westminster as the protest begins.
Yes, I'm very much in the thick of it.
Look, we're challenging narratives here at GB News, and that's what sets us apart.
Hello there, it's 6 o'clock. I'm Michelle Dewberry, and this is Dewbs & Co. Coming up tonight, I will start the programme with a very nice story. That doesn't happen very often, but don't worry, I'll soon change gears because I also want to talk to you about shoplifting. Absolutely out of control. Wait till you hear the new figures released today. Also, the new head of the EHRC has warned against what she says is the demonisation of immigrants. I do want to take a look at that. And even worse news for the Labour Party, because get this, the Conservatives have now overtaken them. That's the first time since Boris Johnson was in office. And a top government advisor has warned, get this, that the Prime Minister apparently has no social mobility plan at all. I could have told him that weeks and years ago. Anyway, Zara Sultana, she has now been joining protesters outside a prison. You will know this story. Palestinian Action supporters in prison are on hunger strike. They are now saying that the government should intervene. Should they? All of that and a whole lot more. My panel keeping me company tonight, the pollster and academic Matt Goodwin, alongside him, the co-founder of Novara Media, Aaron Bastani. But before we get stuck in, let's cross and give you your 6 o'clock news headlines.
Michelle, thank you, and good evening to you. The top story tonight at 6. Well, breaking news. A man has been charged with 56 offences, including drugging and raping his ex-wife. 6 men in total face sexual offence charges linked to that same victim. 49-year-old Philip Young is accused of multiple counts of rape and drugging his former spouse over a 13-year period. 5 other men have also been charged with serious sexual offences against the woman, who has chosen to waive her right to anonymity. Police say she has been supported throughout what they describe as a complex and an extensive investigation. Two men have been jailed for raping a teenage girl in Rotherham more than 20 years ago. Kesser Ajib was sentenced to 8.5 years in prison, while Mohammed Mahmoud received 7 years for offences committed when the victim was aged between 14 and 16. The convictions were secured as part of Operation Stovewood, the investigation into historic child sexual exploitation in the town. The judge said the men had abused the vulnerability of a young girl, describing the impact on her as tragic. The chair of Britain's equalities watchdog has warned today against what she calls the demonisation of migrants, saying it would be a mistake for the UK to leave the European Convention on Human Rights. Dr Mary-Ann Stevenson, who leads the Equality and Human Rights Commission, said that the convention is really important and that it underpins the rights that everyone relies on. Her comments come as the Tories and Reform UK are both backing withdrawal from the ECHR to curb immigration. Downing Street says there's a balance to be struck, while Dr Stevenson has called for more honesty in how human rights are debated.
I think it's really important that we have honesty in the way that we talk about human rights, and that we also have a recognition that the demonisation of migrants, the creating this idea that migration causes, huge risks for the country, can make the lives not just of migrants to the UK, but of ethnic minority UK citizens very, very difficult.
In other news tonight, a major incident's been declared in Shropshire after a large sinkhole breached a canal near Whitchurch. The collapse, around 50 metres long, caused significant flooding and left several narrowboats stranded. Emergency services say 10 people were helped to safety and there are no reports of any injuries. Police and fire crews remain on the scene tonight, with residents there being supported. And the singer and songwriter Chris Rea has died at the age of 74, his family confirmed today. The Middlesbrough-born musician, best known, of course, for Driving Home for Christmas, passed away peacefully in hospital following a short illness. Rea rose to fame in the late 70s and 80s with hits including Let's Dance and The Road to Hell, with 2 UK #1 albums. His family said they were immensely saddened by the loss of their beloved Chris. Those are the 6 o'clock headlines. I'll be back with you at 7, but for now, it's over to Michelle.
Hello. Oh, hello. Thank you very much for that, Sam. My name's Michelle Dewberry, with you until 7 o'clock here on Dewbs & Co. Alongside me, I've got my panel tonight, the pollster, academic and GB News presenter Matt Goodwin. Alongside him, I've got the co-founder of Novara Media, Aaron Bastani. Good evening, gents. Nice to see you. Are you in the Christmas spirit yet?
I'm really in the Christmas spirit. I can't wait for this one. It's going to be great. Although I've just realised we are supposed to drink out of GB News mugs, but I've accidentally brought this mug, which says, supposedly, we're all far right now. So sorry about that one.
Did you bring that? Did you bring that?
No, it was in the canteen.
Oh, you found it in the cupboard, OK. Are you in the festive spirit?
Very much so, Michelle. London is a glorious city this time of year.
I am. I've got to tell you, my brain is doing some serious multitasking there, because, yes, we've got a lot to talk about tonight, but I don't know about you, but I am nowhere near ready. So my brain is pumped full of, did I do this? Have I organised that? Did I buy this? Don't forget to wash that. And then, speaking of washing, I've just remembered I put all my washing in, but I forgot to press start on the machine. So I've got all of that going on tonight, you see. That's the thing with us women. We constantly multitask, don't we? Do tell me, how are you doing tonight? Are you vaguely ready for Christmas? Are you excited? Or are you one of those people that say, shut up, Michelle, it's just another day to me, thank you very much. Let me know your thoughts on it all in all the usual ways. You can email me, gbviews@gbnews.com. You can go to the website, gbnews.com/yoursay. Of course, you can tweet and you can X me. I want to talk to you about law and order in just a second. But before I do, there was something that caught my eye and warmed my cockles. And I just wanted to share it with you because, do not get me wrong, I absolutely cannot stand people who think it's OK to break into other people's houses, who think it's OK to rob people's cars and so on and so forth. So you will never see me exhibiting sympathy to those kind of people. But something happened the other day. You might actually be familiar with this story. There was a family who had their car robbed by people. And in the boot of this car, there was quite a well-adapted wheelchair for their little girl, Emily. Emily is very, very young, and she's got spina bifida. She's paralysed from the chest down. So this was actually taken from the car. Also within the car, there was some Christmas presents and so on and so forth. The family actually did a public appeal, just begging, basically, whoever's got this car, please, our little girl can't get around. She can't move. Please don't do this to us. Well, somehow these criminals did indeed have a little bit of a conscience, because now they returned that car and, crucially, that wheelchair as well. It just made me feel... I don't have any sympathy for these thieves, I've got to tell you, but it just kind of made me feel... I don't even want to say that there's some good in the world, Aaron, because it's not good to steal cars, is it? But just that somebody somewhere actually demonstrated, for once, they looked inwards and thought, you know what I've done is pretty damn gross. That is the impact of my action, and let me do the right thing and give it back.
There is some honour among thieves, under certain conditions.
There is, actually. What do you think, Matt Goodwin? Am I being a bit over-charitable to these people?
I've got a better idea. Let's not nick stuff to begin with.
Well, that's what I would like. I cannot abide people, especially this time of the year, when people go into other people's houses and they will see Christmas trees and they will think that it's OK to rob presents from underneath the Christmas tree. I absolutely cannot stand it. Well, maybe I'm getting soft in my old age, because that story about her getting her wheelchair back, it brought a little tear to my eye. So best wishes to that family, and I hope they are able to move on past that horrendous situation that they encountered. Now, I do want to stick with the law and order theme, because, get this, we speak about shoplifting often, don't we? More than 800 shoplifting offences are going unsolved. This won't surprise anyone that's spent any amount of time in a shop, because whether it's Greggs, whether it's ours in Poundland the other day, this woman just walked in, helped herself to this bag of stuff, wandered out, and I went and pointed it out to the shop people, and they were like, yeah, thanks, we'll go and check the CCTV. I was like, what?
Well, the stats that came out today are absolutely astonishing and utterly depressing, because you've got 500,000 shoplifting offences recorded in the year to June. That's up 13%, Michelle, in a year. You've also got record numbers of unsolved shoplifting offences. Now, remember, these numbers are all based on offences that people are actually recording. There's a lot more, obviously, that we won't even know about. Now, to me, you know, when I hear London commentators saying, well, hey, crimes are going down, there's never been a better time to live in Britain, there is something about record levels of shoplifting that really strike at the heart of the social contract. It is about a breakdown of basic law and order, the fact that the notion of fair play, of fairness, that has long defined our culture in this country, is just being blatantly blown apart by people who clearly have no respect for their fellow citizens. So I think it's absolutely outrageous that this is even happening.
Do you, Aaron Bastani?
The numbers are really staggering. This is an article in The Telegraph. They're up, I think, was it 20% last year? They're up 65% since COVID.
Unsolved, yeah. Unsolved,
yeah. And the force, if you don't include British Transport Police, which is quite a unique case, the worst performing force is the London Metropolitan Police. So, correct me if I'm wrong, Michelle and Matt, they are charging 6% of recorded cases. And as you've said, many of the cases of shoplifting obviously aren't recorded. And I would say people often call upon the the head of the Met to resign over this or that. When you have 6% of people being charged with shoplifting, and it's 25% in Avon-on-Somerset or the West Mids or whatever, much, much higher, that to me is a resigning offence. That's a proper resigning offence. And I completely agree with Matt. This is a scourge on the country. Like I said, there's a failure at the level of the police. Obviously, these people guilty of it are doing something they shouldn't be doing. It's appalling. Also, I would add this. If you're in a pub or a restaurant and somebody comes around with 10 frozen legs of lamb or goodness knows what, which has been pinched, don't buy it. It's not a victimless crime. You're not helping society by getting the stuff on the cheap. I know that's easy for me to say sat here. I probably would have said something different 10 years ago. It's a big problem. Don't contribute.
Well, that has been happening. I mean, I've spent some time in some rough and ready pubs in places like Hull around about this time of year, and you always get these guys. They come in, don't they, with these massive trays of Ferrero Rocher and all the rest of it. So it has been going on for a very long time, but it does feel now that it's just become more and more brazen, that it's just become the breadth of people doing it. It just feels like there's been a change in psyche. That's the bit for me. And some people say, oh, Michelle, you know, why are you focusing so much on a tray of Ferrero Rocher or whatever? But it's not. It's like this shift in society that actually I don't even need to try and be a good person.
Well, firstly, I think I'm going to the wrong pubs because I've never been offered a tray of Ferrero Rocher.
You've never been offered a tray of Ferrero Rocher around this time of year from a Sainsbury's bag for life?
No.
Really?
That has never happened to me. But
I'm in Portsmouth, you're in Hull, it makes sense.
I'm in Hertfordshire, but anyway, so... But
I need to take you out. You would have your eyes and ears open.
I would be the first one to say yes, actually.
Yeah,
so
well,
whenever you want to take me out, Michelle, I would absolutely do that.
Yeah, you might regret it. We'll have to give you some shots beforehand or something. But anyway, go on.
Well, you tell me when. What we're talking about is a breakdown of the social contract, that we all buy into this society, we uphold the rule of law, we play by the rules. And it isn't actually just about shoplifting, let's be honest. We've been on this show, we've talked about other ways in which the social contract is breaking down. Yes, the blatant violation of the rule of law, illegal migration, people entering the country illegally, people not paying taxes and so on. And I've said it before, you know, for those of us who are part of the hard-working majority who, A, built this country and B, are making this country go round, this really does stick in the throat. This idea that there are just people out there breaking the law at will, undermining our social contract, undermining the fabric of our society. And I think the lack of shame in society too. I remember when people used to look down on those who were breaking the law. People looked down on those who didn't contribute, looked down on people who weren't working. Now it seems a lot of this stuff is being mainstreamed, and I think in many ways it's a cultural problem, not just a criminal problem. We seem to have lost that sense of what it means to be British, what it means to be part of a productive culture in which people all contribute and play by the rules.
You lot are not having any of me. You've got in touch in your droves. Steve said, please, can you bring Michelle back down to reality? What on earth is she doing, being positive about thieves? I'm not positive about thieves. I did actually start my piece by saying I've no tolerance of people that go out and actually start thieving. There was a small chink of me that was thinking about this little girl finally able to move around. Maybe it's because I'm soft when it comes to children. It was that made me feel more positive, not the fact she'd had a wheelchair stolen, obviously. But Steve says, Michelle, you need bringing back to reality. He says, I'm in Cheshire. The St Luke's Hospice charity shop there had its safe stolen last weekend. How revolting is that? Karen says, Michelle, I manage a charity shop in southeast London and we have theft every day and it's definitely got worse over the 21 years. It's absolutely awful. Sally says, Michelle, I volunteer in a hospice charity shop and again, we have stuff stolen every single day. There's a special kind of scumbag that would actually go to a charity shop. You know when you get those, what do you call it, like those tin, you know, like those tins that you put your money in? I'm sure there's a posh word for them, but you know, your collection box type thing. It's like when people go in places and steal that, and I think, how low have you got to be to steal coppers and loose change out of a box that's intended for, like you say here, hospice, end of life, disabled children, or all the rest of it? JW said, Michelle, the story that you shared at the top is a revolting one, not a positive one. It's good that the family got their chair back. But what about even breaking into the car and stealing the wheelchair in the first place? I hope they get caught and punished. Well, yes, I would like them to get caught and punished as well. I think my point is just, you know, I've lost you all on that point, haven't you? None of you is having any of my positivity. I just thought it was nice for the 6-year-old girl and for her family. Anyway, lots of you getting in touch saying to me that you work in shops. You're seeing it get more and more out of control. Tell me this, if you work in a shop and you saw somebody stealing, whatever it was, Would you actually confront them? Because there's this big rule of thought process at the moment, isn't there, where you're in a shop, is it actually worth it? What if these people have got a knife or anything like that? If you're a security guard as well, tell me, would you actually tackle some of these people or not? After the break, there's so much that I need to discuss with you. The Tories, they have overtaken the Labour Party. I want to talk to you about social mobility and a whole lot more. I'll see you in a sec.
Mornings don't have to be tiresome, especially if you have the right company.
Wake up to news as it happens, opinion and debate, and of course, a little bit of entertainment too.
Because when the kettle's on, we're on.
That's Breakfast on GB News, a show worth waking up for.
Every morning from 6 a.m.
Only on the People's Channel, Britain's news channel.
We'll spread the news, you spread the word.
From the school run to the home run, watch a new show for all of Britain.
He can say whatever he wants.
A straight-talking show where all voices are heard.
And, you know, when are we going to stop talking about smashing the gangs and actually do it?
With the stories that matter from every part of our country.
There's a bit of a crash landing there for your Chancellor.
Bold, fearless and standing up for you. That's me, Martin Dewberry, 3 p.m. till 6 p.m, weekdays, here only on GB News. The People's Channel, Britain's news channel.
Westminster's full of talk, but out here, it's the real world.
Am I allowed to talk
No,
now?
that's it. This is where it matters, real people and real lives. That's what politics is all about.
In fact, has Trump made a good start? No.
Straight answers, no spin, and just a couple of pints. How many fingers have I ever got up?
About 10.
So join me for Lee Anderson's Real World every Friday at 7 p.m, only on GB News. The People's Channel, Britain's news channel.
You want to know what's really going on in the corridors of power? Labour don't know what to do with you half the time, and that makes you quite lethal in the chamber. Get behind the headlines with Chopper's Political Podcast. Join me, Christopher Hope, as I sit down with the great and the good of British politics. We'll see where this ruling takes us. These are the stories shaping our nation. Chopper's Political Podcast, available now on all platforms. Listen in and stay ahead.
Decisions made in Washington aren't just shaping America, they're shaping Britain too. From migration to global security, from crime to health. Whatever happens in the White House today
will be felt in your town or city tomorrow.
That's why The Late Show is live from Washington, D.C.
Cutting through the politics to show you what it all means for Britain.
The Late Show live every night at midnight.
Only on GB News,
Britain's news channel.
Exciting news. Every Friday, my Patrick Christie's Tonight Show is going to have a twist to it. We're welcoming some special guests. You. That's right, on Fridays I'm going to be doing my show in front of a live studio audience because this show is about you and what you have to say. It's going to be the same big debates, same big topics, same big opinions, but every Friday night at 9 p.m. you are invited to come on down to Patrick Christie's Tonight to be a part of the action. Only on GB News, the People's Channel, Britain's news channel.
Hello everybody, welcome back to Dewbs & Co with me, Michelle Dewberry, Aaron Bastani and Matt Goodwin. I've started something now, telling you all about those pubs that I used to go to where people did used to come in about this time of year, offering up a variety of goods, including those big trays of Ferrero Rocher, among other things. And we were just asking Matt in the break, because he's never encountered anything like this apparently, and we were just asking Matt in the break, he must be familiar with the, in the olden days when those men used to come in the pubs, do you remember, in those Macs, everyone? And they used to open up the Macs like this, and they used to have all those DVDs sewn into the lining of the jacket.
I have never, hang on a second, hey, check this out.
You've never encountered anything like that?
Never seen that in my life before.
Well, I don't think you've been born, quite frankly.
I did grow up in Hertfordshire. I think Hertfordshire is probably a little safer than, you know, Hull.
We need to get you. Nothing wrong with Hull, I'll have you know.
I love Hull. I love Hull.
Mandy says, Michelle...
That's a party town.
Mandy said, Michelle, I once stopped two girls pushing a trolley of goods out. She said it had a value of over £1,400, and I got a warning from management because it was against the store rules. Gerald says, Michelle, my local charity shop a couple of years ago started getting shoplifting. They used to have 2 entrances to the shops, he said, but they've had to close one off now to try and make it a little bit more difficult for the thieves. And there will be some people at home watching this going, oh, Michelle, people steal because they're poor and they're struggling. Come off it. There's so much help and support and all the rest of it out for people. Dylan says, I used to work in a well-known supermarket and you was not allowed to confront shoplifters, he says. You just had to stand back, watch and report it to the police, but then he says that no action was taken. Now, speaking of action, the Tories have overtaken Labour in the polls. This is the first time since Boris Johnson was in office. Kemi Badenoch clearly doing something right, Matt Goodwin.
Well, I think there's certainly a growing pile of evidence to suggest that the Conservatives have stabilised, but the real story here is not really the Conservative Party recovering. It's more the Labour Party continuing to collapse. Now, we've seen, particularly after the budget, Labour plunging to new lows. We know Keir Starmer is the most unpopular Prime Minister that we've ever had. This is this is the most unpopular government we've ever had. So Labour are continuing to collapse in the polls. The Conservatives are basically stabilised. But the real story to me, Michelle, as we actually come to the end of 2025, is the implosion of this two-party system that we have had in this country for much of the last 100 years. If you look at the collapse in the combined vote share for Labour and the Tories, it has basically dropped by about 15 points since the start of the year. Now, the real beneficiaries there are reform on the right and Greens on the left. So this two-party system that used to be predictable, stable and so on is actually imploding, and nobody knows where this is going to go. Nobody knows where this is going to end. It's truly historic stuff. What we're living through is really historic. The viewers can see it on the screen there.
And Bastani, your thoughts?
The Telegraph says that this is signs of a recovery under Kemi Badenoch's leadership, the fact that they're now averaging 18.5%, but of course the Tories got 24% in the last general election. No. So as anybody familiar with numbers will know, 18.5% is less than 24%. It's not a recovery. They're still going down. Just like you say, the performance isn't quite as bad as the Labour Party. I would add this as well. In 2017, the two major parties between them got 80% of the vote, a little bit over. Now they're going to get less, it seems, than 40% between them. Really historic. And the Tories got less than, are getting less than what they got in the last general election, which was their worst result for 200 years. That is bad news. I wouldn't celebrate that.
What I'm really interested to know from some of you guys is if you've never voted before, would you turn out and vote at the next election? Because that, for me, would be the most interesting thing. Who can galvanise those people that previously have not been into voting? Now, I'll tell you what I want to talk about to you as well tonight. The head of the Government Equalities Watchdog, the EHRC, has basically said that people need to stop describing immigrants as a risk to Britain. Mary-Ann Stevenson, let's take a listen to her.
I think it's really important that we have honesty in the way that we talk about human rights, and that we also have a recognition that the demonisation of migrants, the creating this idea that migration causes, huge risks for the country, can make the lives not just of migrants to the UK, but of ethnic minority UK citizens very, very difficult.
My Goodwin, your thoughts?
Well, firstly, who is this person? We have unelected, unaccountable elites within our public institutions that have no real connection to the people who have to live with the consequences of these decisions, like mass uncontrolled immigration, lecturing the country on what they should think or believe about these issues. And the second thing is, have you noticed, Michelle, these people talk endlessly about the rights of illegal migrants. They talk endlessly about the rights of outsiders and foreigners. They never talk about the rights of the hard-working, law-abiding British people, including the many people watching the show. And what she said, which really, really stuck in my throat, is that it's wrong to describe mass immigration as a threat to the country. If this person who claims that she is an expert, backed by the Labour government, by the way, was really reading the research, she would know immigration is a threat to our economy. It's hollowing out our economy. It's a net fiscal cost. We know this. Only last week, the Migration Advisory Committee gave us more evidence for that. It's a threat to our security. It's a threat to British women and girls who are being sexually abused and harassed by people who are being imported into our country, often from inferior third world cultures. It's a threat to our housing. We know that it's exacerbating the housing crisis, and to be blunt, it's a threat to our culture because it is creating parallel societies with people who do not share our cultural values, who do not share our way of life. And you know, we just had a very sound leader of this quango, Baroness Faulkner. She was much more reasonable on all of these issues. She basically was closer to where the British people are on these issues. I mean, this person, who Labour have put in clearly to try and project the Labour worldview, this sort of pro-immigration, pro-woke worldview, I think she's completely adrift with the rest of the country.
Aaron?
What she's describing is a matter of opinion. Somebody out there watching will think migration is a threat. They'll have agreed with every single word that Matt just said, and some people will disagree. But that's the point. It's a matter of private opinion, and then, of course, we express this at the ballot, and it's reflected by political parties and government. That shouldn't be the proviso of a quango, which cost the taxpayer £20 million a year. That lady herself is on £69,000 a year, I believe. And what Matt said at the start of that tirade, I couldn't agree more with him. No, I'm saying you were making a political point. But the very first thing you said was absolutely on the money. Who is she? Why does this organisation exist? It certainly isn't meant to police people's personal views on a particular policy. So £20 million, a lot of money, scrap it. When people say you can scrap big parts of the state, the bureaucratic, administrative state, and save a lot of money and put it elsewhere, you're told, well, no, that's only £20 million. That's not a lot in terms of government spend. We're a £3 trillion economy. That's true. The reality is, however, there are hundreds of things like this. So I think the EHRC should go. I don't think it should exist. And I think it's a perfectly legitimate thing to say, look, we spend £5 billion a year on asylum in this country. It's a perfectly progressive thing to say, why can't we spend half that?
Goodness me, we actually agree on something.
Well, no, but it's £5 billion is a lot of money. Why can't we spend a quarter of that? Still a lot of money, right? It's still more than £1 billion. I think if somebody expresses that point of view, that's not demonising anybody. I personally think you shouldn't demonise anybody, but that as a point of political view is not demonising anybody. So I would start with a very simple point, really, a simple premise, which is the EHRC really shouldn't exist, and I would get rid of it like I'd get rid of vast swathes of the post-97 bureaucratic state.
Well, that is what Nigel Farage should say briefly, which is he should come out and say, you know, a reform government would scrap the EHRC, would also, by the way, scrap the Equalities Act. And just very briefly, Michelle, the one thing that really sticks in my throat here is this person's supposed to be the expert. Now, you might say what I said was a tirade, but everything I said was backed up with evidence.
No, I'm not. I'm sorry.
We know from the Migration Advisory Committee, we know from serious research that's been done within this country, we know that actually immigration is problematic for a whole host of reasons. This is the person who's supposed to be reflecting that evidence and supposed to be in that balanced position. What she's done is she's come out on day one. She's basically had this case of verbal diarrhea. She's lost the country. Everybody can see she's being highly partisan. Everybody can see she's just been put in there by the Labour government to basically parrot the Labour pro-immigration viewpoint. And that is not what these organisations should be doing.
Can I clarify my point with Matt?
Yeah.
Even if immigration didn't cost the taxpayer money, if it was saving us money, even if it was a net beneficiary to GDP, even if it wasn't, as you say, a quote to our culture, even if none of the things you've said are true, you would still be entitled to say, I want less immigration to the country. That's my point.
Yes.
So it shouldn't be contingent on whether or not it's good for the economy. That's an opinion that somebody's allowed to hold in a free, liberal society. And I find it just a massive example of sort of overstep that somebody who's meant to protect individual liberties, which is what the EHRC is meant to do, the first thing she does is actually police people's freedom of speech. What they can and can't say.
Am I being outflanked on the right by Navarra media? Is that what's happening here on this show?
No, but, you know, it's just, there are many of these. Well, the thing is, I would say we should spend more money on certain things, and you might disagree with that, but we have to be sensible. There's also some things we shouldn't be spending money on. The EHRC is one of them.
Well, there you go. You will have strong opinions on that one. One of my viewers has just got in touch and said, Michelle, can I just bring you back to that Tory polling? Kemi Badenoch is a fantastic orator. Her performance on Budget Day was sterling. This is where this Tory bounce comes from. I've got to tell you, I was actually very impressed with Kemi Badenoch in that little speech that you mentioned. Many people, of course, were saying that it was bullying what she did. Lots of you getting in touch about my shoplifting story. Chris says, get this is awful. He says, my late mother-in-law had her handbag stolen while she was in the church receiving the sacraments. God. Thieving, he says, does not get much lower than that. I completely agree with you. What is wrong with people? Honestly, I don't know. Look, coming up, so much more that we need to talk about. I need to talk to you about social mobility, or lack of, should I say, but also these Palestinian activists, people that are on remand in prison at the moment, on hunger strike. Now, people suggesting that the government needs to intervene. Do you think that they should or not? I'll see you in a minute.
Ready to soak up that holiday sunshine?
Won't we need some cover?
No worries. All sorted.
All Clear Travel Insurance sponsors GB News Travel Destinations Forecast.
Hello there, and welcome to your winter sun forecast from the Met Office. If you're looking ahead towards the Mediterranean for the Christmas period, it is going to be quite unsettled in quite a few locations. The best of the sunshine probably across the Canary Islands, but for Spain, it is going to be cloudy with some outbreaks of rain. And for Western Italy, we will have some thundery showers, and that band of showers will continually push its way towards Greece as you head through the week. And it will be quite chilly in a few spots, but for Tenerife, we are looking at highs of around the low 20s.
All Clear Travel Insurance sponsors GB News Travel Destinations Forecast.
Hi there and welcome to the latest update from the Met Office for GB News. Although it is turning much drier during the next few days, it's not necessarily turning sunnier. We do have extensive cloud, low cloud at that, giving widespread hill fog in places overnight. Low pressure remains to the southwest. That's going to continue to bring some showery rain towards southwestern parts of the UK, even Wales from time to time overnight and into the start of Tuesday. And we also have some outbreaks of showery rain in the north of Scotland. But away from these areas, mostly it's dry. However, with a lot of low cloud around and that cloud sitting on hills, there'll be some patchy drizzle. It will be frost-free, temperatures of 6 to 8 Celsius first thing. So a gloomy start to Tuesday, especially for central and eastern parts of Scotland, with outbreaks of light rain here and there, particularly over the hills. Showery rain for the north and northwest of Scotland as well, but some brightness for the parts of western Scotland, particularly the southwest. Cumbria, West Wales doing well for some glimmers of sunshine first thing. The southwest of England still seeing some showers. Mostly these are light outbreaks of rain and they're going to fade away by the time we get to the afternoon. So many places will be dry but cloudy, and that widespread cloud sheet continuing throughout much of Tuesday. It's going to make it feel cold, and the easterly wind, once it sets in, will make it feel cold. Feels like temperatures more like 2 or 3 Celsius in the east and southeast of England. Northern Scotland sees some outbreaks of rain later on, and they tend to drift into central areas by Christmas Eve before fizzling away. But you'll notice Christmas Eve, a bit less cloud around. Not entirely cloud-free, but certainly a brighter day as expected. And likewise, on to Christmas Day. Brighter skies, still some patchy cloud around, dry for most, even if it will be windy.
Thank you, Britain, for making us the fastest growing news website in the UK. We're truly humbled, and we couldn't have done it without you.
Good evening, this is the latest AI travel news from GBnews.com. In Warwickshire, the M6 southbound between junctions 2 and 1 has road management with 2 of 3 lanes closed. In Hertfordshire, the M25 anti-clockwise between junctions 17 and 16 is affected by a collision, causing a 40-minute delay with 2 of 4 lanes closed. Near Somerset, The M5 northbound between junctions 25 and 24 has debris leading to a 15-minute delay with one of 3 lanes closed. And on the trains, Avanti West Coast services between Glasgow Central, Edinburgh and Carlisle are disrupted, with cross-country operating a reduced service between Nottingham and Cardiff Central. For more travel news, go to gbnews.com.
Hello everybody, welcome back to Dewbs & Co with me, Michelle Dewberry, alongside me till 7 o'clock tonight, Polster academic and GB News presenter Matt Goodwin, alongside him the co-founder of Novara Media, Aaron Bastani. Welcome back everybody. At the top of the programme, I was talking to you about feeding, shoplifting and all the rest of it. Matt Goodwin said he's never encountered anyone selling stolen goods in the bars that he goes to. One of my viewers has pointed out and said, obviously you're a wine bar kind of man and not a pub kind of guy. He thinks that's what it is. One of my followers, and I think this is very interesting, says, Michelle, we have cameras in our shop. It is a necessity now. Catching people and letting them know on social media seems to be the only way to expose a thief and warn other local businesses. I find this very interesting. What do you think to this concept? Because you see it a lot as well, don't you, with people like Dan and Dashes that go and help themselves at a restaurant and then they leave. And these restaurants will actually put up the images on social media and say, by the way, hope you enjoyed your meal before you did your runner. You owe us X, Y, Z, and it'll go viral. Do you support that strategy?
I think that's the only thing that works for some businesses. You know, the worst thing for me is seeing small, family-run businesses, the lifeblood of our economy, getting undermined by this kind of behaviour. That is the worst. And if you're out there doing this, you are damaging our country.
Do you support a bit of naming and shaming?
You know, look, I think ultimately the police should be firmer with this stuff, and it's not just on shoplifting, it's also antisocial behaviour. It is killing the high street, and you know the police should be acting accordingly.
Well, there you go. That's one shopkeeper there at their tether now, at the end of their tether, should I say, resorting to showing people and shaming people. Bring back shame in society. I don't actually think that is a terrible thing that you're doing. Speaking of terrible things, I was off for a couple of days last week, and this did catch my eye. I will talk about social mobility in just a second, but did you see this, ladies and gents? One of the most ridiculous things I've ever seen, and that says a lot. This is a Christmas card, and it was available for sale in a Sainsbury's supermarket, and it said, "This Christmas I'm identifying as a Grinch," and it was a picture of a Grinch in a Christmas jumper with a bauble. Now, so-called trans activists took about a nanosecond to complain about this, saying that this was an anti-trans dog whistle and belittled the trans community. The publishers then basically removed the design from its range and then, by definition, of course, removed from the supermarket. They said, the publisher, it was in no way our intention to cause offence to anyone in the trans community. We will remove this design from our range immediately. Well, I saw that, and I just want to say this to the publishers, to the people that complain about it, and to the supermarkets that stop stocking it. Get a backbone, you pathetic individuals. What has happened to our society where you cannot now make a joke and that people who live in a make-believe world of insisting that they are actually something else, they have a monopoly on this phrase of identifying. What is going on?
Well, I think we've lost all common sense. I love that card. I'd like to go out and buy that card. And the publisher, whoever the publisher is, who sort of folded at the first moment of confrontation with a radical minority of you know, crazies, I think, you know, they've lost out. It's a huge marketing opportunity. We're talking about it on TV. I mean, it's crazy. I can't stand this stuff, Aaron Bastani. And people say, oh, here goes Michelle ranting again. But I don't understand how we've got a situation where the tail wags the dog in this country. A minority of people that believe in very contested ideologies and all the rest of it, they somehow seem to bring organisations to their knees. How? Why?
Well, as people who watch us regularly or listen to us regularly will know, you and I disagree on this issue in regards to certain aspects. I know trans people who would find that card funny. That's the weirdest thing about it. That's the kind of joke they would make on Instagram or whatever. The eagerness to be offended is something which I think we're getting over that hill. I think that's kind of behind us, a little bit in the rearview mirror. And I think you're right. The people making that card should just say, you know what, we're going to get a bit of earache. So what? We have standards. We're not going to go back on our work. Your work is important. What you do in life is really important. It matters. It matters to who you are. you should have pride in it. And if that's the case, you shouldn't just kowtow to the first person that says, I'm offended.
I just cannot bear the ridiculousness, the extremism of these trans activists that seem to think that they can walk around demanding that language is changed, that the word women often gets erased and we have to call people pregnant people and all the rest of it. I can't bear it. And I would beg organisations, advertising organisations, publishing companies, whatever it is, please have a backbone, root yourself in reality and get some balls about you. Goodness gracious me. Look, let me talk to you about social mobility before I spontaneously combust. Now, it's been suggested that Keir Starmer has no strategy when it comes to social mobility and helping people progress. Matt Goodwin, does this surprise you?
No, it doesn't. I mean, Keir Starmer's idea of social mobility is Angela Rayner. It begins and ends with that story. That is his view of social mobility. He doesn't really have much of a story beyond that. And I think, you know, you look at this Labour government, you look at everything they've been doing, and there's no real coherence to any of it. There's no consistency to any of it. And, you know, you look at the front bench, there's no real diversity of thought. There are no people there who reflect the ordinary work experience of people. I don't think anyone on the front bench of the Labour government has ever started a business, run a business, made a successful business. And I just think, you know, 2025 was a year in which everyone in this country saw through Keir Starmer, and his ratings collapsed as a result. I would go out on a limb here and say my prediction of 2026 is that will be the year where we see the back of Keir Starmer. We will see the end of Keir Starmer.
Bold prediction there. What do you think to this social mobility stuff, Aaron Bastani?
Well, we still have social mobility in this country. The problem is it's downwards. People are getting poorer. I think the phrase itself is a bit of a hangover from the 1990s. People who are upper middle class, lower middle class, again, since particularly COVID and the energy crisis, feel themselves getting materially poorer month on month, year on year. So in that context, social mobility, I think, becomes somewhat meaningless. We saved earlier on £20 million by getting rid of the EHRC. We can save another £2 million by getting rid of the Social Mobility Commission. I'd get rid of lots of commissions. Instead of the leader of that being on £69,000 a year, I believe Alan Francis is on a day rate of £350, which is expenses and so on. Let's presume he works 100 days a year. That's about 30k, more or less. Here's the thing. If social mobility is so important, if it's so integral to the government's agenda, why is the guy leading this commission part-time? Right? If it's so important, it's a full-time job. So it's full-time or it's nothing at all. I'd say nothing at all. There's a really great line in business, which I think is so true. If you want a job done badly, make it a part-time job. Make it somebody's part-time job because they'll faff, they'll do nothing, they'll DOS. And I find that's the case here. Get rid of it, save some money, £2 million a year, send it to Hull.
Yeah, there you go. What do you think? We should get these two into the government somehow. They'd save us all a fortune, wouldn't they? Look, I want to touch on this story after the break with you. Very interesting. These people have been held on remand in prison for apparently supporting Palestine action, of course, on hunger strike. Many people now saying that the government should step in and intervene. Do you think that they should or not? I'm Michelle Dewberry. This is Dewbs & Co. with you.
Hello, everyone. Patrick Christie is here. GB News, Britain's news channel.
Access the stories that matter to you. Take the GB News family with you on any device. And as long as you have an internet connection, tune in to GB News anywhere on the planet or beyond. GB News, the People's Channel, Britain's news channel. At GB News, we love to hear from you, our loyal community. So drop us a line at gbnews.com/yoursay. There you can talk to each other and also to the presenters live on air. gbnews.com/yoursay, because GB News is your channel, Britain's news channel.
Bold. They are under no illusion.
Ray.
Are you a human trafficker?
Boundless. I've had enough of the nonsense, and I'm not afraid to say it.
Don't get this on the BBC. Every weeknight, I tear through the headlines. The smell of gasoline. Should we be worried about it? From Westminster madness to cultural war chaos. What I'm going to do now is they are throwing things out the car as we speak. Get ready, Britain. Here we go. Patrick Christie's tonight, weeknights from 9 p.m. only on GB News, Britain's news channel.
Join me, Nana Akwe, for an informative, interactive news programme with a difference. It's fun.
No, he didn't say that, Dave.
I'm so surprised.
I think there's an element of truth to that.
Join me from 3 p.m. every weekend, only on GB News, Britain's news channel.
Mornings don't have to be tiresome, especially if you have the right company.
Wake up to news as it happens, opinion and debate, and of course, a little bit of entertainment too.
Because when the kettle's on, we're on.
That's Breakfast on GB News, a show worth waking up for.
Every morning from 6 a.m.
Only on the People's Channel, Britain's news channel.
We'll spread the news, you spread the word.
Britain was once the envy of the world, but look around. A nation that no longer knows what it is or where it's going. A country that's broken. How do we fix Britain? How do we bring it back? Friday night with Matt Goodwin at 8 p.m, only on GB News.
Decisions made in Washington aren't just shaping America, they're shaping Britain too. From migration to global security, from crime to health. Whatever happens in the White House today
will be felt in your town or city tomorrow.
That's why The Late Show is live from Washington, D.C.
Cutting through the politics to show you what it all means for Britain.
The Late Show live every night at midnight.
Only on GB News,
Britain's news channel.
Hello, everybody. Welcome back to Dewbs and Co. Now, this is a story that really has caught the spirit of public debate, shall we say, when it comes to hunger strike and what do you do? Two prisoners that have been affiliated with Palestine Action, of course, on remand in prison as we speak, have been taken to hospital. Now, many people, including Zara Sultana, are suggesting that the government now needs to get involved and help these people. Take a watch.
You actually need an ambulance to get to hospital there. Now, people have died in this prison. People have died in this prison. They are being investigated for neglect. They have blood on their hands. And the enemy gets her that she is dying. And that is saying that she is dying.
So these are people that, for example, they are held on suspicion of, you remember Bryce Norton, the RAF base, and the things that went on there. It is the people that were arrested in partnership with that, that we're talking about here. Aaron Bastani, what's your opinion?
I think the treatment we're seeing is appalling. So they were arrested in July this year. They've been on remand since then. They've been told they won't face a trial until at least 2027. So they're looking at least at 18 months, if not 2 years, of detention without trial. Whether or not you support Palestine Action, whether you're left, right, centre, that is very concerning. I put it on a par with what happened to Lucy Connolly. And I think when you look at that, when you look at the arrest for social media posts, when you look at the proposed changes around trial by jury, when you look at the suspension of elections, there's a picture there which I think is very, very, very concerning, and it doesn't add up to living in a liberal democratic society. We're still there. I'm not suggesting we live in some authoritarian tyranny, but I think the standards are slipping, and I think, look, being in prison for 2 years without actually going to court, waiting for trial, is unacceptable, and it's very good that they're bringing this kind of spotlight to their case. And like I say, whether or not you agree with Palestine Action, I would hope that anybody that believes in democracy and just a functioning state and a rule of law, like we've had for a very long time in this country, would see that point.
Well, of course, these are the latest too. There are others as well that have gone to the hospital. Matt Goodwin, your thoughts?
Well, you say that we're not living in an authoritarian tyranny, but actually I think we are living in an authoritarian tyranny. It's not only that the Labour government have moved to get rid of jury trial by jury, it's also we've got digital ID coming down the track, we've seen the expansion of non-crime hate incidents, we've now got the postponement of elections, which even the Electoral Commission has said is undermining legitimacy, the legitimacy of democracy. So actually I do think this Labour government is probably the most authoritarian government I can remember in my lifetime. And I actually agree with you, 2 years without trial, in detention, is not something that feels right to me. However, it is also true that I don't think the government should be held hostage by people who are participating in hunger strikes, especially when it's people including Amu Gib, who is on remand on suspicion of being involved in the break-in at Bryce Norton. You cannot go and engage in terroristic activity, damaging state infrastructure, damaging our military, go on hunger strike and then expect the government of the day to sort of respond to your concerns over particular issues. That would be setting a very dangerous precedent in our country going forward. So no, I'm not a fan of the idea that the government should be falling over itself to listen to these people.
They're very serious charges, but the point is this: they're innocent until proven guilty. And if you're taking away 2 years of somebody's liberty without them having been found guilty, that is very, very important. And mark my words, even if you don't like Palestine action, that same principle will be applied to you or people who you agree with in the future. I really am worried. You know, the willy-nilly nature of this government with regards to particularly the suspension of elections and the trial by jury stuff is extraordinary. You know, you had a Labour MP in Parliament talking about, you know, being mansplained about Magna Carta and things that we've had central to our country for almost 1,000 years, and it's just being dismissed as, you know, a glib nothing by Labour MPs who haven't got the slightest idea what they are doing. My dad came from a country which didn't have trial by jury, which didn't have due process, which didn't have fairness running through its veins when it came to how politics was conducted. It's not a good place to be. So I think it's really, really key that a wide coalition of people recognise the pattern here and call it out.
Right. But can I just come in here with some facts? Sorry, Max, it's very important, because what you're saying is that the issue here is about remand, potentially as well extended remands. But when you look at these people's demands, it's not just about remand. They want immediate bail, the right to a fair trial, they want basically, they want to end censorship of their communications, they want to prescribe Palestine action, they want to shut down these Elbit systems and so on. So this is not just about remand.
It's not just about remand. I would say two things. Firstly, when you're enduring what they're enduring, which is you have not been found guilty and you've been in a prison for 6 months, you won't necessarily be thinking the most strategically. For me, the most outrageous thing that's happened to them is the fact that they may be in prison for 2 years, having not been found guilty of anything. They're asking to be on bail. Now, people again may agree or disagree with whether or not they should be on bail. Do you know who is on bail?
Who?
Dan Norris, a Labour MP, who has been arrested by Avon and Somerset Police on suspicion of rape, child sex offences, child abduction and misconduct in a public office. He's not in prison, right, on remand. He's on bail. So how come he's on bail and they're not? And how come they have to wait for 2 years?
Well, hang on. Yeah.
Abduction of a child.
Loads of people get, but obviously this is an alleged, and he's not here, this person, and if he was here, he would say innocent until proven.
Well, it's all alleged, isn't it?
The rest of it.
It's all alleged. It's alleged for the Palestine Action people as well.
Yes, very quick.
But they are also a prescribed group at this point, and I think, you know, you would surely not be expecting the government of the day to be responding to hunger strikes as it makes policy.
I think it's a legitimate tactic to highlight anything, and I think the very simple demand is the same with refugee waiting lists. Expedition, right? Be quick, be efficient, be effective. We have a state which takes an eternity to do the most basic things, like getting people to trial.
Well, there you go. You will have very strong opinions on that one as well. But for now, you'll have to mull them over at home, because that's all that I've got time for tonight. So have yourself a great evening. And I will see you tomorrow night. Thanks, panel.
Expect warm spells with the odd rude interruption. Box Boilers sponsors the weather on GB News.
Hi there and welcome to the latest update from the Met Office for GB News. Although it is turning much drier during the next few days, it's not necessarily turning sunnier. We do have extensive cloud, low cloud at that, giving widespread hill fog in places overnight. Low pressure remains to the southwest. That's going to continue to bring some showery rain towards southwestern parts of the UK, even Wales from time to time overnight and into the start of Tuesday. And we also have some outbreaks of showery rain in the north of Scotland. But away from these areas, mostly it's dry. However, with a lot of low cloud around and that cloud sitting on hills, there'll be some patchy drizzle. It will be frost-free, temperatures of 6 to 8 Celsius first thing. So a gloomy start to Tuesday, especially for central and eastern parts of Scotland, with outbreaks of light rain here and there, particularly over the hills. Showery rain for the north and northwest of Scotland as well, but some brightness for the parts of western Scotland, particularly the southwest. Cumbria, West Wales doing well for some glimmers of sunshine first thing. The southwest of England still seeing some showers. Mostly these are light outbreaks of rain and they're going to fade away by the time we get to the afternoon. So many places will be dry but cloudy, and that widespread cloud sheet continuing throughout much of Tuesday. It's going to make it feel cold, and the easterly wind, once it sets in, will make it feel cold. Feels like temperatures more like 2 or 3 Celsius in the east and southeast of England. Northern Scotland sees some outbreaks of rain later on, and they tend to drift into central areas by Christmas Eve before fizzling away. But you'll notice Christmas Eve, a bit less cloud around. Not entirely cloud-free, but certainly a brighter day is expected, and likewise on to Christmas Day. Brighter skies, still some patchy cloud around, dry for most, even if it will be windy.
Expect warm spells with the odd rude interruption. Boxed Boilers sponsors the weather on GB News.
Thank you so much for helping us to reach 8 million followers and subscribers across our social media channels. That's 8 million fearless Brits standing up for what really matters.
Good evening, this is the latest AI travel news from GBNews.com. On the M73 southbound off-slip at junction 2A, there's a partial blockage. 2 lanes are closed on the M6 southbound between junctions 42 and 41 in Cumbria. The A1M southbound between junctions 63 and 62 in Durham is closed due to a serious collision. In Warwickshire, 2 of 3 lanes are closed on the M6 southbound between junctions 2 and 1. A collision on the M25 anti-clockwise between junctions 17 and 16 in Hertfordshire has closed 2 lanes. And on the trains, expect disruption in Avanti West Coast services between Glasgow Central and Carlisle. For more travel news, go to gbnews.com.
This Christmas, we're giving you the chance to win our biggest cash prize of the year.
An incredible £85,000 in tax-free cash could be yours.
And we've come to the fabulously festive Aurora Collection Resort here in Lapland to celebrate. £85,000 of tax-free cash really could be yours.
For another chance to win £85,000 cash, text cash to 63225. One entry costs £2.50 plus 1 standard network rate message. Or text bonus to 63225. 5 entries cost £5 plus 1 standard network rate message. Go to gbnews.com/win. Entries start at £2.50. Call 0903 686 3232. Calls cost £2.50 plus your network access charge. Or post your name and number to GB18 PO Box 8690 Derby DE1 9TT. UK only. Entrance must be 18 or over. Lines close at 4 p.m. on the 30th of January. Please check the closing time if listening or watching on demand. Good luck.
This Christmas, we're inviting you to join the GB News family